Hello, and welcome to Beyond the Loss. I am so glad you're here. This is Beyond the Loss, Conversations in Grief, Education, and Healing. I am Shari Dworkin-Smith. That's SHARI-DWORKIN-SMITH. I am a certified grief educator, a hypnotherapist, a psychic medium. As a grief educator and coach, I help people dealing with all kinds of grief to better navigate their journey. There are a lot of different kinds of grief, and truly there are far too few resources available. And so through my work, I am able to help people know that there is support, there are resources, there are options out there to help better understand our feelings, to know that we are not that it is not a given that we have to be overwhelmed and bowled over by our grief on any given day. The path for everyone is different. And through grief education and coaching, I'm able to help people find meaning and value in the loss without having to relive the trauma, to bring their lives back to a place of peace and understanding. So whatever pain it is that you're carrying, you don't have to do it alone. I'm glad that you're here. The goal is always to lessen the pain and drama and hopefully to find some wisdom in the loss. Here on Beyond the Loss, we do talk about grief. I know it's not a sexy subject, but there's a lot going on out there right now. And now we've got more war and, death and struggle and confusion and all kinds of heavy emotions going on. And it is really important that we are knowing that there are resources available. Help is available. If you or someone that you know is struggling with depression or deep sadness or suicidal ideation, please know that help is available 24/7, 365 days a week, confidential, trained support. The National Suicide Hotline is 988. All you need to do is call or text 988 for you, for a friend, and you will be connected with someone who can help you or who can just talk or listen, and know that there are resources available. You are not alone. This is a big part of the work that I do, and if something I say resonates with you, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I would be honored to talk with you and see if grief education, grief coaching would be right for you. You can find me easily on my website at sharidworkinsmith.com. You can see it on the screen, and send me a note and I will get back to you as quickly as I possibly can. I want to remind everybody that as smart as those AI systems are, they do often have trouble spelling my name. So if you're looking for me, and I know my name's not an easy one, but if you're looking for me, it is correct on the screen. Be sure to check in with A1R Psychic Radio or Ask One Radio because they've got it right. All right, today I am truly, truly honored to welcome my very dear friend, Chris. Chris and I have been friends for many, many years. We first met when she was a consultant in my unit when I was still a director with Mary Kay Cosmetics. We became friends, and as I was transitioning to doing this work more full-time, she not only became a client, she was one of my biggest cheerleaders, a trusted advisor, and she is also the incredible talent behind the complete redesign of my website. So for all of you who have taken the time to tell me how much you love the website and how beautiful and informative it is and how much you like it, that is all Chris. In the years that I have known Chris, I have seen her move from being in and out of a wheelchair multitude of times, from working a 50+ hour weeks on her feet, constantly barely having time to breathe, with some weeks I'm told being as much as 90 hours a week on her feet the whole time. I have seen her work through reinventing herself, whether that either with health issues, family issues, money issues, derailed plans, things that had her idea, her path of what her life was going to be, and have that shift because of things that were completely beyond her control. I have seen her time and time again pull herself back up to living life on her terms. She has more legit medical diagnosis than any one person should be allowed, and I rarely hear her complain. She is truly one of the most positive people that I know, one of the most positive people I have ever known. And so much so that her uplifting of others is actually one of the things that she is known for. I asked Chris to be my guest today to talk about resilience and positivity in keeping on, especially on those hard days. So Chris, welcome and thank you for being here on Beyond the Loss. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much, Shari. I'm delighted to be here and to speak with your audience today about the 11D7 different flavors of grief.
There are indeed 11D7 flavors of grief. And one of the things I do so love about Chris is she has a magical talent of making up wordable things. So you have had many life shifting events. I have known you with, as I said, health issues, in and out of wheelchairs, in and out of loss. You have lost people that were so important to you. Daddy Gob and Mama Till, your grandparents that I know have just had huge impacts on your life, and the loss of your dear friend. There have been so many different challenges that, to be honest, would leave a lot of people curled up in the fetal position under the bed. But that's not you. And I wonder if you could take some time to share what you would like to share about your journey, and then also what helps you to keep getting up in the morning.
Well, I can't do the fetal position under the bed because it's dusty under there, and I have allergies. So that helps a lot. How do I keep going? I look at it this way, Shari. I can either, experience loss and, give up custody of my kids and have all these health problems and lose my grandparents and lose my best friend and be miserable, or I can have all of that going on and be happy. But either way, I still have it all going on. And being miserable just isn't any frickin' fun. So I make the conscious decision every day, sometimes many, many times a day, that no matter what life throws at me, I choose to be happy. And that's what fuels my drive to be a positive light for other people, because then my pain has a purpose.
Okay.
Because if it was just pain for the sake of pain, then that would be, the sign of a sadistic universe, and I don't believe in a sadistic universe.
Oh, me neither. Me neither. How do you, and I know you've had some pretty intense grief and loss recently. You mentioned the passing of your best friend, and I know you were right there when that happened, and I had the privilege of standing with you, not literally, but emotionally during that time. And what advice might you give to someone when we are quite literally smacked in the face with unexpected loss? It literally right in front of us.
God, I don't know if I have any good advice on this one, because I still struggle with his loss every day.
Yeah. I know you think about him, and of course you would. I mean, I know he was your best friend, and partner in so many of the things. And not only that, but somebody you could count on. I mean, it wasn't just the loss of this person in your life, but let's face it, this was a person who helped you with groceries and helped run errands, and before you were driving was helped taking you places. And this was not just the person that was someone you cared about, but this was someone you relied on.
Yes, and that's been both have been very difficult. He stayed with me for 6 months after I had my knee replaced a couple of years ago, and I was counting on him to be here when I had my right rotator cuff repaired, because I knew that was going to be a long recovery period as well. And he died 2 months before it was scheduled. And the night before the surgery, I just stared at my ceiling, yelling at him that he was supposed to be the one to be here to stay with me and to help me with all of this. And that I was so pissed at him. I was so incredibly pissed at him for abandoning me, because that's what it felt like in that moment, was an abandonment. Almost like he had chosen this time to die. And of course, you and I and in our beliefs, we know that is the case, but it's not done out of pain, out of, meanness, or, well, I'll show you, I'll just die today, or, anything like that. It's that he had served his purpose in my life.
Yeah.
And I
We
believe
talk
that
about
with
that a
all
lot
my
in
heart.
mediumship, of course, of how the soul, when we incarnate here, we have some prescribed exit ramps that we can choose when our mission is done. But you said something I think is really, really important, and you bring up anger. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't want to talk about. It's like, "Ugh, I can't be angry. They're dead, and I would feel, I feel guilty for feeling angry." But anger is a huge part of grief. How could you leave me? How could you leave me here alone without you? And I think that's something that people don't always want to acknowledge, that, oh no, I would never be angry because, they're, oh, they're dead, And I think it's important to acknowledge that anger is a big part of that. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, first off, it's one of the 5 stages of grief. You get, it's anger. It's right there in the middle.
First one.
I don't remember what order they go in. I just remember that anger's in there, and it's a big.
There's no right order, but you have anger. Well,
Yeah.
in Kubler-Ross's is phases of death and acceptance. It's anger, denial, bargaining, acceptance, and bargaining, depression, and acceptance. But in grief, there is no order. It just, A is at the front because it's, alphabetical.
So. No, okay, that works. Anger, God, I have been so mad at that man. I was mad at Mama Till, my grandmother. I was mad at her for dying on me, and she was almost 97 years old. And how dare she abandon me like that, because I needed her, and I still do. I mean, she's been gone 3 years, and I still talk to her at least once a month, probably more often than that. She gave me some of her cross-stitch projects that weren't complete yet, and I have them sitting in a box because I haven't been able to look at them to work on them because I am so mad at her for not finishing them and giving them away herself. And I know that that's not rational, but nobody said humans were.
Or grief. Grief is not rational. That's, we want it to in our controlling minds. We want to be in charge of everything. We want to control everything. We want things to make sense, and grief does not. It just doesn't.
Yeah. And anger, people talk about negative emotions, and it's not that they're negative, it's just that they're not particularly wanted. But anger is healthy. If you can't feel angry about being abandoned, about being left alone, about losing the path that you thought your life was going to take, then what the hell are you doing? Why are you even here if you can't feel anger about those things? I was planning on another, 50 years with Kevin. Just, being there and being my best buddy and my sidekick and my ride or die. And he was done at 49 years old. And, on June 22nd, this past year, and I spoke at his funeral, and I was so mad at him for making me speak at his funeral. But in my head, I'm saying all these nice things, and putting his loved ones at ease, and making jokes and smiling, and soldiering on, and not reciting some song lyrics from a song I wrote many, many years ago, inspired by the poem "Do Not Stand at My Grave and Weep." And the whole time in the back of my head, I'm going, "You son of a you yeah, you just I was furious with him at his memorial service, and I had to tamp it down because I wanted to be there for his wife and his children and his daughter-in-law, son-in-law, because they suffered the bigger loss, their husband, their father. And, that's been tough as well. And I also pretty pissed at him about that. So, but if you can't get mad at your best friend, hell, who can you get mad at?
Well, that's true. Where are you now with this anchor? Do you still, and I know it's been what, 6, 8 months now? Are you still
8 months.
angry?
Yeah. Yeah, I am. But I've
And how
also
does
been
that?
through the depression, and I've also been through the bargaining and, um, a lot of soul searching, and come to realize that he was here to teach me that I'm stronger than I think I am.
Mm, yeah, that's
He
really important.
he was. We had met in college on this internet bulletin board system. Same place where I met my first husband. Same place where I met my boyfriend. Um, years and years and years ago, and he resurfaced when I needed a friend. And when I was about to be homeless in Washington, D.C., I was talking to him about it, and he said, hang on a minute. And then he was gone for like 45 minutes, and then he came back online. He said, come here. I said, what do you mean, come here? He said, come here. I said, okay, what do you mean when you say, come here? He said, you're going to move to Kentucky and stay with me and my family. Are you an idiot, or are you going to come here? And I burst out laughing at the library at downtown Washington, D.C. People looked at me funny, but I was just delighted. And I lived with him and his family on and off for about 13, 14 years, I think, is how long I've been in Kentucky. And I moved out of their home about a year and a half ago, and was grateful for that opportunity. But he spent more time here than he did at home, so it was like I never really lost him. Lost his being there and his literal physical support. And I've had conversations with him since, and he's told me that he had to show me that I was stronger than I thought I was, that I was strong enough to stand on my own 2 feet, and that I was strong enough to face whatever was to come without him right there by my side.
Yeah. Isn't that so interesting? There are those of us around you who have been telling you that for years. And I'm sure he told you all those same things while he was still here. And sometimes when it
Oh,
comes
yeah.
from the beyond, those messages are, we're finally willing to believe them. Would you agree?
I would definitely agree, yeah.
Yeah. What
And I
advice
can
would you
hear him
give
laughing now,
to,
going, you should have listened to me.
yeah, yeah. And, when those messages come through so clearly, and when you say, I talked with him and this is what he told me, what does that look like for you?
It looks like I'm sitting here having a conversation with my wall,
Okay. Mhm.
or like
And are
I'm
you
talking
hearing
on the
him in
phone
your,
and
like, clairaudiently in your ears, or are you hearing him in your mind, or
in my mind.
clairvoyantly and seeing him?
I don't see him often. I caught a glimpse of him once, but it's hearing him in my mind.
Understood. Understood. What advice, if anything, could you share with people who might also be dealing with intense anger of, damn you, how did you, how could you leave me here by myself, with those kind of feelings?
Let yourself feel it, and
Mhm.
let yourself feel the hell out of it. I mean, dig into it, get deep down dirty inside it. You are pissed, you are furious, you are livid, and you have every right to be, because your person left, and they left you behind, and they left you alone. And if you don't feel it, it's never going to come out. And if you don't feel it, you can't let go of it. And if you can't let go of it, you can't get better from it.
And you can't move to the place where there's meaning. If we're stay in the
Yeah.
anger, we can't get to the meaning. And I think what you're saying is so important, because one of the things that my clients say to me all the time is, if I open that door even a little bit and I allow this emotion to come out, I'll never stop crying. And we know we feel that way, but
Mhm.
that's not always the truth of the situation.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
we won't cry forever. It may feel like that, but we won't. um
Yeah.
I think I wanted to ask again this question I asked her at the beginning. um the resilience, the positivity. And I know, power of positivity, that is one of your hallmarks. That's one of the things you're known for. What advice would you give to people to just, as you said, get up every morning to say, I choose to be positive. I choose to lean into the joy. How do you do that? How do you, when you're feeling that intense grief or that anger, how do you choose that?
I haven't actually thought about the mechanism of it for a really long time. Um, you have to be able, I think, to dissociate a little bit, to stop and kind of step outside of yourself and look at the situation a little more objectively. And I know that that sounds ludicrous when it comes to your emotions, looking at them objectively, but you need to take a step back and go, okay, is this emotion helping me? Probably not. Okay,
Right.
so what emotion can I replace this with?
Awesome.
And my go-to is always joy,
All of that. Awesome.
because it's a powerful word, it's a strong word, and it's also my baby girl's middle name. So reaching for joy for me is reaching that childlike effervescence that just bubbles up out of me when I think about my kids.
Awesome.
And
Now, Chris, we're out of time. I'm so sorry. We're out of time. I want to mention, of course, that people can find you. What is your website? I want to make sure people can find you.
absolutely, it's positivitypowerwords.com.
Positivitypowerwords.com. You heard it right there. Chris, thank you so much for being with us. Listen, we're all struggling with something. We don't have to do it alone. So whatever kind of grief you're carrying, just know that some days are going to be better than others, and know that you don't have to walk the path alone. So thank you so much for taking the time, Chris, to be with us today. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you next week on Beyond the Loss.